I'm just destroying stuff.
Like a wrecking ball.
Should probably get me on a stool.
James, when you look at this team's needs and what you were targeting heading into the trade deadline, how do you feel that you guys did coming out with Royce O'Neale and David Roddy?
Great. I knew that we wanted to come out of it with a player that could help us in the playoffs. This is all about getting better and getting ready to run that race to the postseason. And looking at what our options were, Royce and David provided us something that we desperately needed: some more physicality, some toughness defensively, and then the shooting is something that we always value.
With Royce, you mentioned his kind of 3-and-D skill set there. Just how do you see him fitting in with this group in terms of what he can bring to the table?
It'll be seamless. You just have to look at his track record. He's played with some really good players on some really good teams, and he's been instrumental in their success. And he's fearless. Like that's what this is about. We're going into a Western Conference playoff race that is daunting, but it's fun. And if you're a competitor, you look forward to it. And luckily for us, we've been able to add a guy in Royce who looks forward to that challenge.
You guys had to work to make the numbers work in terms of bringing these guys aboard and send out 4 guys. You have 2 roster spots now. What do you kind of identify as areas of need looking ahead to the early buyout market?
More shooting, more defense, more passing, more rebounding. When we look at our team, we like where we are, but we always feel like we can get better. And it's tough this time of year because you always have to make these decisions. These are people decisions where you're bringing on players that can help you, but you're also losing players that help you get to where you are. So even though it's a part of the business, we take it personally because you're talking about building team chemistry. And in order to do that, you have to have good people. And so we lost some good people. We got some good people back. And hopefully the next couple of weeks, the next month or so, affords us the opportunity to continue to build on our chemistry.
Royce and Katie played together before.
Yeah.
Did Katie have any input? Did you go to him to ask for any sort of validation or what type of player he is in this process?
I always check with our guys to just make sure that, the players that we're targeting are our type of players, guys that they respect, guys that they view as competitors. And Katie had the utmost praise for Royce, just like most of the guys that played against him. I think in these situations, it's always great to have the perspective of the players that have to compete against the guy you're acquiring. That tells you if they believe that they have the capacity to help us. And so across the board, at every level, everyone we spoke with, internally and externally, they talked about how great of a competitor Royce was, and that made it easy for me.
What have your
minutes shaking out with Royce and Grayson and Barrett?
They'll shake out. These guys are about winning. You said the minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, people always ask about minutes. The players decide that.
How have your conversations been with both of them as they look to come in and just hit the ground running?
Great. They're excited. I don't know who wouldn't be excited if you're really talking about competing and trying to win. And so I think they get here in a few minutes. They're probably already in the building. You probably won't find them because they're taking the tour of this. I say like this Candyland spot we live in. But they were so excited yesterday, and I think more importantly, they want the challenge. And that's what you look forward to as an executive, as a team, adding guys that look forward to the challenge.
With the limited assets that you guys had, Royce comes over with his bird rights. David's on that multi-year standard first-round contract. How important was it for you guys at the trade deadline to, if you guys were going to make a move, guys that could potentially be here beyond next season?
Well, that's always our intention. Like we don't, that I think you want to continue to build. So we're not in this stage of like, we're definitely, just understand, Mat's been consistent since day one. It takes what it takes, and he's willing, and he's demonstrated time and time again that he's willing to do what it takes for us to compete. But we don't want to just compete today. We want to compete now and in the future. And so when we target players, we're always looking for guys that we know can get better with us and help us be better over the long run. So for sure, those guys were targeted because they have the ability to stay with us and continue to push us forward.
To your point on Mat, have you gotten used to just the consistent green light you get from him? This is a move that raises the tax bill even more, but I'm sure he didn't hesitate.
No, not at all. His directive since day one has been, we're here to win championships, and we chase it. And so if that means spending more money, it's just money. If that means more hours and more focus and more time, then we spend it, because if we're not chasing the championship, what are we doing?
David is a really unique player. What are the parts of his skill set that you see really fitting in here?
Well, one, he's young and hungry, right? And you can never put a cap on a player's motivation or desire to get better when they're trying to establish themselves. But from the physicality, from the capacity, I mean, he's a guy that played a lot of basketball in college, so you get a chance to watch the tape and see that he's just a player. Don't pigeonhole him into a specific role. Allow him to grow in different spaces on the floor, because he has the physicality to play up in size. He has the awareness and the physical traits to play down in size on the perimeter. But more importantly, he has a desire to just be a winner. And when you do that, that's the definition of a role player who can become a really special role player for you.
James, how big was it even coming into the season to have your core already established so you can just fill in those specific needs that you want at the trade deadline?
Well, I'm fortunate. We're fortunate to have three guys at the top of our roster who not only are great players, but they're great leaders and great teammates, and they allow their other teammates to flourish. And so you can put players around them that can have career years. And so it's critical for us to keep that in mind. Like everything that we do as a team collectively, it's to stack talent and traits around our main guys that allow them to be the best version of themselves. And so night in and night out, you see a different version of our players, especially our main core guys, because of the versatility of our roster.
You've been in this situation before as a player and obviously as an executive. Do you see a heightened play for some of the reserves that are still here and didn't get moved versus the guys that come in and haven't established themselves yet, trying to get themselves, basically fighting for their spot going forward?
It's a collective reset. I think most of the guys that are here and the guys coming in see this as an opportunity to reestablish themselves. We know there are two kind of say portions of the season. One is trying to figure out who you are, and then the other one is doubling down on what you are. We're in that second stage with a new team, which is like, who are we over the next 28 games? But what we do know is that when we're healthy and we're playing the way we played last night, which is to move the ball, make the right plays, protect the ball, and don't turn it over, get shots on goal or get shots at the rim, we're pretty dynamic.
The All-Star game is about to come out, and that's the halfway break. How do you assess the first half of the season so far?
I mean, we're improving, and we have areas for improvement. Like I said before, for us, we just have to protect the ball. We have to rebound better. We have elite shot making, and in this league, shot making wins. I mean, people ask all the time, like, what do you look for? I say, I look for guys that can put the ball in the basket, because you can't win unless you score more points. And so we're pretty good when we get the right number of shots, paint attacks, 3-point attacks, mid range. When we have great balance, we're pretty good. So I would say we're continuing to improve as we get healthier. I think we'll only get better.
James, I know Matt said at the beginning of the year he felt like the roster as constructed was good enough to win. Was there a feeling with the guys you sent out that they weren't meeting the expectation for the goals you guys envisioned for them?
I think we're always looking to get better. And so I do believe that our roster was good enough. I think our roster right now is good enough. But you still want to get better. And then an opportunity presented itself for us to add a player who has demonstrated the capacity to be effective in the postseason when it really matters. And that was just something we couldn't pass up.
To your point about finding the right guys that could have career years around the big three, Grayson's certainly a guy. I know you guys were excited about him, but he's exceeded expectations. Looking ahead to this summer, you guys have his bird rights, his contract extension, but how have you seen him perform, and what's kind of your outlook on that upcoming situation?
You're asking me to project 6 months from now or 5 months from now. I know people love to ask that to get to that point. We're in the moment. I think Grayson's been phenomenal. I think he'll tell you that he has enjoyed being here. We love having him here. He's a part of what we do. He's definitely someone that we know will continue to push us forward. So we love him. Don't want him to go anywhere, which is why he's here. There's plenty of interest in Grayson Allen, but no one values him more than we do.
I'm going to ask you to look back now to last year. How much different did the last couple of weeks feel compared to last year, with everything going on behind the scenes and Matt coming in about this time last February?
That's like 10 years ago, to be honest. We don't even talk about that because we're so laser focused on like where we are today and where we're going. I'll say it's been fun. I think we've done more in the last year with Matt as far as like big moves and bold moves than we've probably done in the franchise's history. So that part of it is fun. But we get a chance to come in here every day and watch these guys get better and chase a championship. And so if you're looking forward to tomorrow, you rarely look backwards.
There was some speculation that might want to have some rim protection with big, or maybe a wing, a creator like Royce. But if you feel like a small ball lineup, like having Kevin at the 5 and going into the playoffs and working, even with a guy like David coming off the bench, being that you said he's not the tallest, but he's pretty size within caliber.
I do. I think you just have to be dynamic. You have to be open, right? Like I don't think there's one way to win. I mean, if you just look at the NBA and in general, if you look at the Western Conference as a whole, there's no cookie cutter way to win games. It really comes down to creating advantages. And so if our advantage is being small, we'll play small. If our advantage is being big, I think you saw it last night. We played 3 7-footers. We'll play big. It helps when you have elite players and elite shot making because it gives you the ability to do a lot of different things.
Has anything Kevin had done this year not surprised you, but opened the eyes as far as handling the ball, passing the ball, doing that sort of thing, defending a big?
No, I mean, I think what people forget is that the best players, they're the best players for a reason. They can do all those things exceptionally well, but teams don't need them to do it. You build a team around it because you can't have a guy burn the candle at both ends every single possession, every single night. But when you're called upon, like Kevin shows people why he's one of the greatest players to ever play this game. He's doing things that like guys his size can't do. And so you'd have to ask him, but he doesn't, nothing he does surprises me because I get a chance to watch him work every single day. He's one of the first guys in the gym. He works harder than anyone, just about anyone I've ever seen. But if you ask him, there's more for him to do. So he's been great for us. His ball handling, his defense, his playmaking. That's why he's going to go down as one of the greatest ever.
Seems like a
Class two.
weapon.
You talk about playing bigs. One of those bigs is Bol Bol. Your impressions of him coming on here lately, for most people's standpoint, a little bit of surprise as to how many minutes he's getting, but he is producing. Can I get your impressions of his place?
Bol's been fantastic, man. People love Bol. Bol has this youthful energy and I want to say innocence, in the sense that he just goes out there and plays. Right, the people they cheer for him because just the way he approaches the game for someone his size. But he's been working his butt off. Like he's been in here every day, post practice, before practice, in our short-sided games and our scrimmages, and he's been taking the challenge and he's building confidence. So much of this game is confidence. All of these players are the best of their class. They're the best in the world. A lot of times it just comes down to how much confidence they have in themselves and their teammates have in them. And ultimately, if coach has confidence in him. And so the fact that he's playing shows that all of the groups believes that he can continue to get better and help us.
Was Miles Bridges a legit target for you guys?
I think we explored everything, but at the end of the day, we're talking about Royce O'Neale and David Roddy, 2 guys that I think are going to be exceptionally well for us. And so, but yeah, we talked about a lot of guys.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Chan.
Super Bowl prediction?
I think Kansas City wins. Yeah.
Another MVP from Mahomes?
Oh yeah, I think